Hey everybody, it's GauntletX and welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today I'll be playing another draft of the April 2023 Tinkerer's Cube. Without further ado, let's get into the draft. Tons of super powerful ways to go. Pack one, pick one as always. We've got Vivian for a great top-end card for a green deck, Ravenous Squirrel for a sacrifice deck, Blood for Bones for Reanimator, Vile Duplication can clone some stuff and has a lot of good synergies. But we've also got really good interaction with Eat to Extinction and Inscription of Ruin in black here. Elder Deep Fiend is actually kind of a good finisher for a big blue controlling deck. And there's Momentary Blink, which is super sweet for the white-blue flicker deck. Pretty interested in playing some different stuff than I did last time around because I will not be playing multiple Tinkerer's Cube drafts this time around, because the March of the Machine early access event is just around the corner. So I'm going to kind of force an archetype here and take Momentary Blink here, mainly just trying to avoid green and black since that's what we did in the last cube draft. So for variety's sake, since I'm only really going to be drafting this cube, this is probably the last time I'll be drafting it, honestly. Let's make sure we're playing something different than yesterday. So grab a Momentary Blink and see if we can get into that blue-white flicker archetype that is always quite powerful. So for pack 1, pick 2, we have Gyruda, which would be a really fun card to draft around, because if we pick it early enough, we can make sure all of the cards in our deck have even mana values. If so, then Gyruda is basically our 8th card in hand every game, and Gyruda's got a pretty good enter the battlefield effect. Mill 4 from each player, then put any creature with an even mana value that you just milled onto the battlefield under your control. So pretty likely to mill an even mana value creature out of your own deck at least, with Gyruda, if you play around that as the companion slot. So blue-white Gyruda looks like the place we're trying to be right now. We'll see if that works out for us. Certainly doesn't in pack 1, pick 3. We see an odd mana cost blue card and an odd mana cost white card. Wow, there's like there's 3 even mana value cards in the pack. There's Bootlegger's Stash, which is really narrow, doesn't really do anything by itself. You really need something else to work with it. Mastermind's Acquisition, that's a pretty slow tutor. And Form of the Dinosaur, that's hilarious, but probably pretty bad. I think I'll just take Spar's Headquarters. It's going to be a nice dual land between blue and white no matter what, and if we end up playing green, then it'll be a full-on triome of all 3 colors. Here we have a Spirited Companion, which works excellently with Momentary Blink and any other flicker effects we can get, while also being an even mana cost. I think I'll take that over Chemister's Insight, but it is pretty close. Insight is a great draw spell. 4 mana to draw 2, and you can cast it again from your grave by discarding a card. So it can be really good value, but I'm going to go for the goodest of dog, the Spirited Companion. Pack 1, pick 5, those are some odd mana values. And neither are super great, although Urza's Silex is a fine board wipe. I think I would rather take a land here. We can take a Cave of the Frost Dragon. Don't love that it comes into play tapped later in the game, but is a creature land, so we can dump our mana into beating somebody down with it late game, which is nice. I suppose Gust of Wind is castable in a Gyruda deck, as is Foul Play if we play a blue-white-black. Or we could be white-black instead of white-blue, to be honest. Gyruda can be mono-blue or mono-black. And the only blue card we have is a flashback ability that we could splash in. Sure, I'll take a Foul Play, find cheap interaction against small creatures. Azor's Gateway is definitely not going to work if we're trying to use Gyruda, because if all our mana values are even, then we're not going to have 5 different mana values. We're going to have 2s, 4s, 6s, and 0s, pretty much. Displacer Kitten is kind of the nuts if you have a Spirited Companion on board and you cast some more non-creature spells, if you have any good enter the battlefield effects on board, to be honest. So take a Displacer Kitten over the Into the Royal, but Into the Royal is good interaction. Ooh, Sling Gang Lieutenant? Displacer Kitten, Sling Gang Lieutenant, go to town, make a ton of goblins? Sure. Momentary Blink Lieutenant is also fine. Definitely want to take some lands pretty highly, but we're already with Gyruda trying to make sure we take only even mana values, so that's going to give us more opportunities to take lands instead of non-land cards, because when there's something that would be good in the deck like Dollhouse of Horrors, we can be like, nah, I'm good. Because it's an odd mana value. I think I like Irenicus's Vile Duplication in here. It's pretty good in a deck with a lot of good enter the battlefield effects. Really good if we get something that can cast something from the grave, but I guess Blood for Bones is good in here too. Yeah, either of these is great. I'm going to go for the duplication. Now we can take Godless Shrine. That's excellent mana fixing for a blue-white-black deck. Very nice shock land for us. The coolest thing that you can do with Vile Duplication in this cube is something that we can't actually do if I want Gyruda in the Companion Zone. And that is the Scholar of the Lost Trove. That is an odd mana value card, but it is a 5/5 flyer that hits the board and lets you cast any instant or sorcery from your grave. So you could cast the duplication when you do the Scholar. I guess we could Mastermind's Acquisition for an odd mana value card from our sideboard. That's how we do it. That's how we get the Scholar into that Gyruda deck. It'll work out perfectly, trust me. This feels pretty narrow. I'm just going to take the awkward mana fixing of the Mycosynth Gardens. Alright, I can play a Gust of Wind in a Gyruda deck. Ooh, Thopter Mechanic is a card I can play in a Gyruda deck, and it's an excellent one in a deck that already wants to play all of the Spirited Companion type creatures that enter the battlefield and draw a card. This can relatively consistently get some extra +1/+1 counters, and if it ever dies, then we just get a 1/1 flyer, so that's pretty good. That being said, I've said it before and I'll say it again, the removal and interaction in this cube is horrible, so you need to take the good removal really highly if you want removal. So I could even see Cast Out being the pick over the Thopter Mechanic just because there's so little good unconditional removal like Cast Out in the cube. Seems like they really, really wanted people to be able to do whatever they want and not have to worry about interaction from their opponents particularly often. I'm just going to go for my silly, stupid stuff. I'm going to take Thopter Mechanic over Cast Out, but there's no way this wheels because there's just not enough removal that someone in white is not going to take that card. That's okay. We'll be 0 removal the deck. That's kind of what the designers of this cube seem to have intended. I guess we have Overcharged Amalgam, though, for a counterspell. That is a form of interaction. Could take the dual land over it. That's the only card competing here. 3 duels deep. I think I like Amalgam enough to take it over at our car wastes. Pack 2, pick 3. I think Emil works with ETB effects. Yes. 3 mana to exile a creature you control, then return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. Let's go. It's pretty good. Also, Grafted Identity and Glass Casket for interaction. We found the interaction. And I should take it. Oh, there's Whirler Rogue too. Wow, this is a good draft pod for a Flicker deck. Good gravy. Emil is a really slow way to keep using Flicker effects because you have to spend 3 mana every time. Whirler Rogue giving us another good ETB effect is probably better because we only have Companion and Sling Gang right now. Or just taking the cheap interaction. I'm actually just going to take the cheap interaction this time. I'll take Glass Casket there. This is pretty much nothing, right? I guess there's Against All Odds? Redo and enter the battlefield effect 1 time. Can return a creature from our grave to the board while we do it. Yeah, that could be fine. Definitely better than a Temses in here, because it's another one of the cards that needs 6 different mana values, which isn't going to happen in a deck with all evens. Ooh, Sarah Paragon's exactly what the doctor ordered. Metamorph's good too, but with Sarah Paragon, we can trade off our Spirited Companion and Thopter Mechanic really aggressively and then just replay them, which is phenomenal. Okay. There are 0 even mana cost cards. But I'm not going to play Blast Zone in a 3-color deck, so Lear's probably the strongest. Maybe Skullport Merchant. Don't have a lot of instants and sorceries, do I? I guess I already have 6. Yeah, Lear is really strong. I'll put Lear in the sideboard, but I don't think we're doing that. Urza can make tokens of artifacts you control, but make them 1/1 soldiers in addition. We can take Urza or Maskwood Nexus, but neither seem great. Or we could take a dual land. I'll take a dual land here. Lotus Field would also be okay. Only even as Asylum Visitor, so I'll take that. Could have been the Luris deck if we got that pack 1, pick 1. I guess pack 1, pick 2 is when we got Gyruda, but that would have been sweet. Take a Trickster God's Heist. I don't think I'll be playing it, but it is an even mana value. Wield the Adarkar Wastes. Definitely take that one. Wield the Whirler Rogue. Let's go. That's the only even left in here. Join the party. Very happy to see that. Definitely want some more 2s. Our curve is going to look like complete nonsense when we're drafting around Gyruda. There's going to be 3 mana slots. But I think we do want more 2s than anything else, so I need to take the 2s super, super highly next pack. All right. It's going to be a silly deck. Going to be a silly deck for sure. Move my non-creatures over. What have we got here? Core Skyfisher is really nice for this archetype, and it's a 2-drop, which I do want, but there's also Faith's Fetters. And I've been talking a big game on how important it is to pick up the interaction, and I think I'm gonna pick up the Faith's Fetters here. Make anything unable to attack, block, or use its abilities, and you gain 4 when it hits the board. I think Faith's Fetters is more than good enough interaction to take over the Core Skyfisher here. I think it's much less likely to wheel, and even if Skyfisher doesn't wheel, I think it's a little more important. But Skyfisher would be sweet too. Sad to see you go, Core Skyfisher, but I'm taking Faith's Fetters and hoping to wheel Core Skyfisher or Rafine's Tower. Both would be excellent. I don't think I can play anything in this entire pack. I guess there's a Raven Man. That is a 2-drop, but I'd probably rather have another black-white duel because I don't see myself spending 4 mana making my opponent discard cards all that often. I like Null Priest a lot. A 2-drop or a 6-drop on the curve, and being able to reanimate any creature with a good enter the battlefield effect is nice. Silver Quill Command is fine. It's flexible. Spectral Adversary is fine. It's flexible. But I'm very into Null Priest of Oblivion, and I'll take that here. Now, we don't have enough equipment for Kemba, Ka, Enduring to do anything. But Plunderer is just a 2-mana 2/1 flyer with no extra text. Guardian Naga is an odd mana cost and an incredibly weird inclusion into this cube. Very, very strange one there. I guess there's just a lot of artifacts and enchantments is the idea behind there being a Guardian Naga. Or you could build around the fact that you can't deal damage to it somehow. I don't think I'm going to play another tap land. I've already got a lot of tap lands. I'm just going to take the 2-drop flyer. Alright, there's an untapped land with Glacial Fortress. It's that versus Wrath Capation, Ship's Mage. An instant speed flyer that makes our artifacts and legends instant speed. We have 1 artifact, and I think like no legends. Because I've got like 1 with Gyruda, but very few. We'll take the dual land. Now we have Kel's Fight Fixer as the only playable card. I guess there's Pact Weapon. I did have a lot of fun with Kells in our last deck, but I don't really think we have any expendable creatures this time around. It's just a 4/3 menace though, but I'll take the Pact Weapon this time. 5/3, we can take Demonic Pact or Twilight Prophet. I like Twilight Prophet better. Big fan of this card in our last deck. When you get the City's Blessing, it's just a huge card draw engine that also drains your opponent for some life. Really nice card. I don't think that this counts as an even mana cost. I think it's odd because it's 9. I think they add the two together. So I think we have to take Siphon Insight or Banishing Slash, and I guess Banishing Slash is Interaction. Pretty hard to cast for our 3-color deck, but do want me some interaction. Alright, we didn't wheel the flyer, so we'll just take Rafine's Tower. Now there's literally no... I guess there's a Roll Knock, that's an even mana value. There's Obosh, our worst enemy. Get out of here. All your odd mana costs. Oops. Just got to go to the sideboard. And I don't think that we are really going to have to make any deck building choices because we were so restricted by the companion that we just get to put the companion in the command zone, and there you go. Yep. There's a 40 card, 17 land deck right there. Look at that mana curve. That's a Gyruda deck if I've ever seen one. Alright, well this is going to be a really fun way to end off the Tinkerer's Cube drafts. We're going to be playing some absolute nonsense here. Again, Tinkerer's Cube drafts. Super about fun over anything else. Probably building this hard around Gyruda was not worth it, and we could have just had a better normal deck. But just that mana curve alone was worth it. Just looking at that, I've already got my enjoyment out. I got my 4,000 gold of enjoyment out of this event. I don't even need to play the games. Just looking at this pile is fun enough. So I suppose that's the deck. Don't really have to go over the deck building or the deck overview or anything, because it's just everything that we've drafted. I guess I'll still go over the deck overview so we can talk about why certain cards might work the way they do, what things could happen in the game. So mainly we went for some Flicker Effect synergies with Displacer Kitten. We have Spirited Companion for a really good Enter the Battlefield effect, as well as Whirler Rogue for another good one, and Sling Gang Lieutenant for another good one. So if we have any of those alongside a Displacer Kitten, we can do some nasty stuff, or with a Momentary Blink. We have Sarah Paragon as well to recast them. Null Priest of Oblivion can be a 6-drop, which is definitely nice on the curve, and that can recast them and do some Enter the Battlefield effects again. But other than that, mainly just a Gyruda deck, making sure that we always have an 8-card hand to start the game off, because we basically start the game with Gyruda in hand, and that's going to be a pretty big finisher. If we hit any creature in our deck, we can return that to the board, and if we mill a big creature from our opponent's deck that has an even mana cost, could be even better, because we don't have very big creatures to go with the Gyruda, but this deck's going to be fun. It's going to be silly, it's going to be stupid, but more than anything else, it's going to be a fun time. So without further ado, let's just head into the gameplay and see how it does. Ooh, forgot about Mastermind's Acquisition. I probably should have been drafting some better tools for the sideboard. I think I was assuming that it wasn't going to make the cut, but everything we drafted had to make the cut in the end. Well, we've still got sideboard tools. Don't know exactly what, but there's options in there. Unctus, Leer. Yeah, we have a Leer in there, which is pretty good. Because then we could recast the Acquisition again later, which is kind of nasty. Alright. Drew a Spirited Companion to play on turn 2 here. So we actually get things rolling a bit. Drawing the tap land here is kind of awkward. Okay with a Frost Dragon. We need to find a way to kill Urabrask's Forge ASAP, or we will just lose turn Urabrask's Forge, as you would do in a Phyrexia All Will Be One draft. No 3-mana cards to play. I could put Gyruda in my hand if I play an untapped land, but I'd rather get the tapped land out of the way, hold up Momentary Blink to block Lizard Blades and blink. stop the damage and draw a card here. Phyrexia All Will Be One is coming back to haunt me. I thought we were done with the format. We're playing Tinker's Cube drafts and Shadows over Innistrad Remastered. Get out of here. Alright, well I guess I have to blink now instead, if they're going to Avison's Judgment. Drawn to a Sling Gang Lieutenant. That's very good here. Multiple chump blockers that also drain my opponent for a life. And I'm 100%, as I said before, just trying to get more time to dig into an out for the Forge. So we're just going to super die to that. I'll block with Companion here because we're definitely playing a 4-mana card this turn. I could Acquisition for a way to deal with Forge, but then I take 1,000,000 damage next turn. Ooh, Displacer Kitten? We just have no breathing room and no time this game. Our opponent wasn't aggressive. We're drawing like all the synergies to do such nasty stuff. But I don't have time. I'm pretty sure if I tap out for Acquisition, I'm gonna die. Because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, that's 7 damage on board. They just need to find a way to do 3 more to kill me. I don't believe I can afford to tap out for Acquisition, so I'm gonna play the Sling Gang. Set up some blockers for the non-Forge creature. Actually, does Faith's Fetters doesn't even work on this thing, so I gotta get Glass Casket? That's creatures only? Banishing Slash. Okay, we have to find Banishing Slash. So if we make it till we have 6 mana, I can Mastermind's Acquisition and Banishing Slash in the same turn. So I can spend all of my mana until turn 6, just staying alive. And then on turn 6, Acquisition for the Banishing Slash, blow up the Forge. That is the game plan here. I might Gust of Wind the Lizard Blades as the upcoming play, because that's not going to have haste. I guess they could equip it to the Ronin, but I can just block the Ronin and sack. Okay, I choose my target before I sack the Goblin. Okay, I was just making sure I didn't accidentally double-click to sack the Lieutenant. I see how it goes. Actually, probably better to momentary blink the Lieutenant on blocks the next turn. Then play a Gust of Wind. Or I guess blink it before blocks, but I can block 2 creatures instead of just 1. Alright, we're down to 9. I do have to draw land in my next 2 draw steps if I want to. Turn 6, Acquisition, Banishing Slash. Sin Prodder's pretty nasty. A menacing threat that's going to pressure me to deal more damage by revealing the top and letting them draw it. Okay, we did hit another land. So we know that we're going to have 6 mana next turn. So we can play Rafine's Tower and do whatever we want with our 4 mana as long as it's going to keep us alive. It's going to be pretty hard to stay alive against a 3-power Menace creature, a 4-power Trample Haste. We're basically guaranteed to take 7. If I play Displacer Kitten, I take 7 from those 2. I chump block Lizard Blades with Lieutenant and sack it. Ronin puts me to 1 life. Because it would put me to 0, but Lieutenant would gain me 1. And that feels like not a winning line. just to keep Displacer Kitten around for later. I guess a 3/4 flyer does threaten to block the Ronin well. Probably better than just bouncing the Lizard Blades. Sure. We'll play the Sarah Paragon. Oh, I have to shoot myself in the face to do that. That's still fine, because that was still definitely in consideration. I just should have realized that I had to shoot myself in the face to play the Sarah Paragon. I won't have to shoot myself to play Banishing Slash, because now I have double white without the Addercar wastes. Ooh. Next turn I'll have the mana to go Displacer Kitten, Gust of Wind? Flicker the Lieutenant? If it's still around, I don't think it will be, though. This doesn't let me recast 4 mana cards. I could try to just not die by putting a Pact Weapon on the board. And just hoping that this cube of no removal didn't let my opponent get any removal. Is this dead? Yeah, that looks pretty dead. Well, shoot. Oh wait, no, it's not dead. Yeah, I go to 2. And I'm definitely dead next turn, so I have to just have a Pact Weapon and a Dream. Pact Weapon and a Dream. Although, wait, no, both my creatures die here, so I can't even put a Pact Weapon on something. I can't survive this turn without losing both my creatures. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah. So I am dead. If I went block there, I guess if I blocked this with Paragon, we'd take 6, 7, 8. No, that's dead. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, we're dead here unless we lose both creatures, no matter where we block. No, well, I could have put Paragon there, but then I'd have to sack Lieutenant to survive, which means both my creatures are dead. Maybe I'll top deck one of my 2 mana creatures. Yeah, I guess I should have been on Pact Weapon and a Dream a turn sooner. That is not a 2 mana creature. I did survive to where I can Banishing Slash the Forge, but she's dead for so many other reasons. Alright. Well. I don't think we were going to win that game. Unless our opponent had 0 removal spells in their deck. Because our other options were to get a Pact Weapon onto one of our creatures and then just be at negative life for the entire game. Hopefully they never draw any form of removal to deal with the one creature that has a Pact Weapon on it, so. Obviously played it out wrong. We should have just gone for Pact Weapon earlier. But that was just an absurdly aggressive curve for a Tinkerer's Cube deck. And a very powerful Urabrask's Forge. Here we are on the play for game 2. Got the Pact Weapon again, let's go for it. Ooh, we've got a Whirler Rogue coming up. I think I do want to drop my 2 mana 3/1. Start poking them aggressively. We are playing against black-red, and they're going to start with a Bitter Reunion to discard a card and draw 2. Don't really want to play a Null Priest without kicking it, so I'll just put Gyruda in hand for now. Attack for 3. Fight with Fire the Asylum Visitor. It's a guaranteed tap land. I could pay 2 to play a 4-drop here. That is definitely worth it. Get a Whirler Rogue down. It's going to be really good with Trickster God's Heist. They play a good creature, I'll just trade my 1/1 Thopter into it. Seize the spoils. Discard a card, draw 2, and get a treasure token. Against all odds. That's actually the sickest here. Oh my god, yeah. We'll just do that. Make sure to hit them first. That's actually the truth right now. Get our Asylum Visitor back and flicker the Whirler Rogue for 2 more 1/1 flyers. Against the opponent at 13 life. Now we have a super wide board state. 4 1/1s with flying, a 2/2, and a 3/1. There's Yahenni's Expertise. Well, so much for that. They even get to play a Varagoth for free. There's the Gyruda mana. I played Gyruda or Null Priest. Null Priest gets us a Whirler Rogue. I think I'd rather Gyruda and then try to Null Priest back Gyruda again later. So here's Gyruda. We milled a Sarah Paragon. They milled an Ancient Copper Dragon. Sarah Paragon's really good on this board. So is Twilight Prophet. 3, 4, 6, 7. That'd be our 8th permanent though. So Sarah Paragon or Ancient Copper Dragon. Both incredible. I can't resist. The Copper Dragon's too funny. And it's their card, which makes it better. Maybe I can just Null Priest the Paragon if they don't end up killing Gyruda. If they kill Gyruda, I'm absolutely just picking it back up. Well, looks like they're killing Gyruda. Because I'm going to block that. To get this Gyruda engraved for Null Priest. There's a Fiend Artisan. Can let them sack a creature to search for another creature, but they're just going to Diabolic Intent, search for any card from their library and put it into their hand. With 2 mana up, they have a 2 mana removal spell that can kill a 6/5. Ooh, 3 mana up. Could be like a Fight with Fire. Soul Transfer, Sadness. They have exiled the Ancient Copper Dragon. Alright, well, let's Gyruda again. Spin the wheel. Round 2. They have a Cemetery Desecrator and a Goro Goro. We have nothing. I will take the 4/4 Menace. I'll just exile Godpharaoh's Gift from their grave. I don't know. I think it really matters. Platinum Angel. Well, I guess I could give them a Spirited Companion. And then just make it so, oh, now I just have a Gust of Wind also. I have several ways to win the game here. I think stealing their Platinum Angel is the funniest, so I'm going to do that. Now I can't lose. And they have scooped them up. It is going to be 1-1. That game was a really rough time for our opponent. Just a lot of time spent setting up their draws and stuff, and still didn't find too much action there. Whereas we just went all the way to Value Town and back. So we're going to be 1-1 heading into game number 3. Alright, we do not have a blue source in this hand, which is a big bummer, but we can play Visitor, and we have an Against All Odds later. The Gardens can be the blue source, but we have to play off curve, but that's kind of okay, because I can go Visitor as the 2-drop, then Mechanic as the 3. Yeah, I'm gonna keep it. Don't love how the mana looks, but I think it's better than mulliganing here. We've drawn into a foul play. Nice. Treasure map is going to start things off for our opponents. They're on a decently slow start. Playing the Thopter mechanic first, so if I do draw a card and get a counter on it, then the Plunderer starts putting more counters on the Thopter mechanic. Plus I want to be able to just play some card draw if I want to without losing value. Like if they play a 2 powerless creature and I draw into a land here, like I'll definitely foul play and draw the card, killing the merchant. If I end up with that option, we do not end up with that option, so we'll be playing... I might still play foul play, honestly. So if I don't, I'm not attacking. It's the difference between hitting for 5 or hitting for 0. Yeah, I'll still just foul play that. Kinda do want to get that 1/4 out of the way for all of our 1 toughness creatures we have right now. Alright, they are down to 12. Gisela the Broken Blade. That's horrifying. Kind of single-handedly outraces us. I need to hit more lands, so I need to just draw the card off this clue and hope for the best. It is a land, it's a tap land though. And still not a natural blue source. There's a blue source. Land number 5 next turn. Kind of just gonna get crushed by a Gisela though. And there's a static net from our opponent to exile the Thopter mechanic and gain them some life. Give them a Power Stone token. Awkwardly enough, our Asylum Visitor is just going to let our opponent start drawing cards pretty soon. They're definitely going to empty their hand a lot faster than us. Play Tetsuko Umezawa and a Skyship Plunderer here. Or just an acquisition to find a way to deal with Gisela. The sideboard again. Sideboard doesn't have options for dealing with that, but the main deck definitely does. Take the turn off to make sure I don't die to Gisela. Honestly not in love with that, because if I just draw one more land, then I can do the acquisition into banishing slash thing. I'm gonna get greedy. Taking my entire turn off to then take my next turn off killing Gisela does not sound great to me. Tetsuko Umezawa is actually looking pretty cool right now, making our whole board unblockable. Not that it really matters, because again, as I said before, Gisela just single-handedly outraces me. Oh, they took my core Skyfisher. I doubt they were in the same draft pod. No, they have a Temple of Silence, so they definitely weren't in the same draft pod. But still. Alright, we hit the land, which is beautiful. Never didn't have it. So the play that I chose, the greedy line, is definitely going to work out here. White, white. Alright. And if they don't have a way to protect Gisela, we're just going to start winning the race. Alright, so Gisela's dead. We hit for 6 a turn, they hit for 2 a turn. As the board state currently stands. Alright, keep scrying with the treasure map. Next time they scry with it, they get to make a bunch of treasure tokens. They can start sacrificing to draw cards. So they're going to do it right now, get the treasure token ramp. And if they have any off-color cards, that's the mana fixing they need to cast anything. Yeah, they have 8 mana up now. No creatures engraved for against all odds, so we're probably on Sling Gang Lieutenant. Especially if I draw land where I can go Lieutenant and put Gyruda in hand. That would be fantastic, but whatever they choose to do here might change what I do, because if they kill one of these, I might be reanimating it instead of playing Lieutenant. Probably not. Lieutenant does seem better than anything we have on board. Ew, Rite of Oblivion. Sacrifice any non-land permanent to cast it. They can easily do that again. And it exiles to get around against all odds. Yeah, that's really not what I wanted to see. We do hit a land for Gyruda, that's great. Flop a Gyruda in hand. Poke for 3, they can't block. Drop a Sling Gang. They can't block the Sling Gang either, so if they don't Rite of Oblivion Tetsuko Umezawa, then they take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 from Sling Gang sacrifices. Almost definitely Rite of Oblivion Tetsuko Umezawa, but now I have a Sling Gang Lieutenant on board? Oh no, I can only sack goblins, never mind. Say, but now I can sack Tetsuko Umezawa. No. Can't do that. Inspiring Overseer. Excellent card. Would love one of those in this deck, but we're all evens over here. Portable Hole. Does work. Gets rid of Tetsuko Umezawa. And they get to keep their Rite of Oblivion for something else. Well. Guess it's Garuda time. Don't really want to Faith's Fetters one of these smaller creatures. Yeah, let's Gyruda and see what we get. We got their Audric with a flyer on our board, or our Null Priest. If I could have our Null Priest and their Audric, I'd be really happy. I can't do it all at once, but I can take their Audric and then I can play against all odds to pick up our Null Priest. Can I kick it even if I didn't cast it? No, can't kick it when it enters the battlefield, but I can still get Menace Lifelink to my whole board with against all odds in the future. Don't have attacks against the 2/3 right now. But I will have an insane turn next turn if they just exile Gyruda or something instead of Audric. Alright, they are going to exile Gyruda. Sacked the static net to give us the Thopter mechanic again. It's interesting. I guess they really want the card draw off the treasures. Alright, I'm just gonna find out. I'm just gonna find out if I can do the Null Priest Audric thing, because if so, that's just gonna be game. Also just Glass Casket their Skyfisher to reduce a blocker, or remove a blocker, and then they can't block anything here because they all have Menace. Alright. They've all got Menace, and then Sling Gang finds the kill. Just by sacking 2 goblins. Well, that was a fancy way to get there. Use their own Audric against them with our Null Priest of Oblivion to give the whole board Menace and Lifelink. That was super disgusting overall, and that is going to put us a positive record now. I think we are 2-1 heading on to round number 4. Alright, here we are for game 4. Got another opportunity to Pact Weapon it up. Make sure to do that if my opponent tries to aggro me out again, instead of disregarding its existence as we did last time. Paying the iron price. Alright, let's get our Thopter mechanic onto the board. Playing against a blue-white deck with the Charming Prince, so they do have some of the flicker effects. Urza Lord Protector. All their instants, sorceries, and artifacts cost 1 less now. I could just foul play the Urza. That is honestly not bad, and I don't have a ton of card draw in this deck, so I'm okay with trading Thopter mechanic off into a 2/2 and getting a Thopter. Honestly fine as well. I'm just going to send it in. It's not going to get much bigger than this. Alright. We get the trade, we get the Thopter, we pass the turn. Now we have a flyer to play Gust of Wind for only 2 mana. There's a Thran Spider. Everybody gets a Power Stone. That can pay for companion costs. So, not opposed to that. I'm going to hold up an Overcharged Amalgam as a counterspell. Because they're going to have 6 mana up for an artifact spell, if they want. And I guess worst case scenario I can Gust of Wind, but I don't really want to Gust of Wind the Thran Spider. But if they play something weaker that I don't really want to counter, like Celestius, I could just Gust of Wind that. Draw a card and spend the rest of my mana on the clue token. Can only put Gyruda in hand at sorcery speed, unfortunately, so I can't do that. But I can use all 4 of my mana on some other stuff here. Why can't I cast this? Hello? Turn target non-land permanent you don't control to its owner's hand draw. Oh, it's a sorcery. Oh. Oops. Well, I do get my clue token draw. This is such a weird card to have in the cube. That is not really that good. Alright, well, now I know. The more you know. Not really doing anything with Pact Weapon here. Probably just want to put Gyruda in hand, because now next turn I'll be casting a Gyruda, so this means we don't hold up our counter spell for a turn, but it's okay. Guarantee that we're playing a Gyruda next turn. There's nothing to Momentary Blink, so I will Gust of Wind, make them replace Celestius. Because I don't really have any more ways to use these Power Stones, but they might get more value from playing another Power Stone. Okay. Now we shall Gyruda and see what happens. And then we'll Displacer Kitten, Momentary Blink, just Gyruda 1,000 times. Ooh, Twilight Prophet. And say, I'm pretty sure I have the City's Blessing. That's a really good one. Static Net for Twilight Prophet. For Gyruda. Interesting. Alright. Well, Twilight Prophet will still get us the win. Oh, and there's a Banishing Slash? Do I have any enchantments here? No. I could Sling Gang Lieutenant and Displacer Kitten first, before I Banishing Slash the Gyruda to safety. Got the mana to play the Kitten right now. I feel like I have to just Banishing Slash. I do set up egregious amounts of value with a Displacer Kitten on board, but it's up to 1 non-land permanent you control, then return it to the battlefield under its own control. I don't have anything good to flicker when I play the Banishing Slash if I go Kitten Slash here right now anyway. Yeah, let's just get Gyruda back first. Guess I need to not mill out, because I don't have a Jace in my deck. Let's set up the Sling Gang. Try to Displacer Kitten and Sling Gang for the kill. That's how we outrace our opponent. If I keep Displacer Kittening Gyruda, I'm definitely going to mill out. Oh. Artifact a creature and enchantment and planeswalker from among the long line of cards and sacks the rest. Awkward. Is there a way to have both of us just completely mill out off of Gyruda, Displacer Kitten? Okay, so I cast Momentary Blink. Target Gyruda, but then Displacer Kitten resolves and exiles Gyruda, which means Blink won't resolve. So Blink plus Kitten doesn't double up how I want it to. I feel like I probably should not keep this Gyruda. I should probably go Creature, being Twilight Prophet, Enchantment being Companion, Artifact being Thopter. No, I should probably keep Lieutenant. Alright. With Blink plus Kitten. Okay. Artifact, creature, enchantment. Packed weapon only stops me from losing to damage. It's not going to stop me from milling myself out, so that's important to keep in mind here. With that whole Garuda line. Ooh, Mastermind's Acquisition for Lear? Vanishing Slash, Gust of Wind, and Foul Play engrave. Be interesting in the future. I guess I can play Displacer Kitten and Mastermind's Acquisition right now. And then I get the Flicker. Yeah, that seems pretty good. This is some pretty wild stuff. There's a Tashar for our opponent. Whenever they cast a historic spell, they get a cheap creature back from their grave. Whirler Rogue is the play. Rather be flickering the Sling Gang, though. Oh, I tapped too much mana. Do that. We have double black, a blue, and 1-up. 2 mana for Foul Play, 2 mana for Gust of Wind. I think that's what we're doing here. And we get to Displacer Kitten each time. Foul Play Tashar. Flicker Sling Gang. They're just going to scoop it up. This is egregious. They've seen enough. This is like the kind of stuff our opponent was doing game 1. It's not as egregious. It doesn't kill them as quickly, but it is absurd. Yeah, because then we're going to bounce. I actually don't know what we bounced there. Maybe bounce our own Spirited Companion. But maybe Thran Spider. I don't really mind if they get another Power Stone. Probably go Gust of Wind the Thran Spider, or we could just Banishing Slash the Gear Hulk. I do have an artifact and enchantment on board, so yeah, Banishing Slash Gear Hulk would probably be better. Or Banishing Slash Spider. And then getting more goblins, and our board state's getting even wider, and of course Lear, anytime we're playing spells, we're able to play them again from grave. We can play Acquisition. Yeah. So many things to do that game. It's not like we're winning the game super fast, but we can just keep doing so many things and spinning so many wheels that the engines are just not stopping there. And we are going to find a victory. We are now 3-1, guaranteeing at least a 50-50 run here, but let's see if we can keep it going and break even out of this draft. We are heading into round number 5. Alright, here we are in game 5. We'll start off with a Temple of Silence, scry into that island. Happy to see it. I am looking for a lot of mana here. There's a Skyclave Shade to start things off for our opponent. Can't block, and whenever they play a land, they can replay it from grave. That card is pretty nasty here. I really do not want to see that. If I trade off into it, they can just go landfall and then replay it. Really bad for me. I think I'm going to have to Faith's Fetters that. But if they have any sack outlets, that's going to work great with it. There's a lot of ways they can do some nasty things. Trade Asylum Visitors. Doesn't feel bad for us. I feel like I'd rather trade on blocks. If I attack in and then they don't block, I don't really want to have to momentary blink to trade visitor into visitor. They are Rakdos, so they're probably pretty aggressive, probably have some sack outlets to make use of Skyclave Shade, which makes our Fate's Fetters significantly worse, because they can just sacrifice whatever we put it on to still get some value off of it, especially if it can come back from the grave like the Skyclave Shade can. Alright, at least here we can Fetters the Garrison, and they don't really get any value from that. Sure, they can sack the Garrison later, but they won't be able to recast it from grave. And that thing just hits really hard, so we do need to shut that off. Braid's Arisen Nightmare. Well, there's their sack outlet. Yeah, this just feels way too aggressive for us to deal with. Play Whirler Rogue with Momentary Blink in hand. That could set up some pretty good stuff. The Whirler Rogue gives us 1/1s to block the Shade. That does feel like our best play right now. Kind of locks off their attacks, because I don't think they really want to send in Braids either if I can double block with a 2/2 and a 1/1. That can give us some breathing room. Or not. A little surprised by that attack, but I don't really want to lose Whirler Rogue. There's Varigoth, 2/3 Death Toucher. Pay 2 life to play Gyruda here. It's painful. Painful, but it's probably worth it. Not a lot of direct damage in the cube. And I'll have blockers for days. I guess they have Varigoth to search for anything in their library so they could find direct damage to kill me after shooting myself to play Gyruda. It'd have to be a lot, though. I'm just gonna go for it. Feels significantly more impactful than just playing one of my 4-mana cards. Oh, thank goodness. We got a Sling Gang Lieutenant. Absolute banger. Now we're basically never going to take combat damage again. Chainer Nightmare Adept. Gets a creature from grave by discarding a card. The creatures that they cast will get haste. It's interesting. Okay. I've got the mana to play Pact Weapon and Momentary Blink or Duplication Blink. I'm going to go Duplication Blink. And just have a super wide board state to try to survive, rather than having a boatload of life gain, because I've already got 11 life basically with the Lieutenant going on. And I don't need to hold up Blink to protect Gyruda, because getting 2 more spins off of it is already more than enough value. Assume because my graveyard is so full, Paragon's pretty good, but we don't have a lot of creatures to play in there. Yeah, I like the Twilight Prophet for the life gain. Uh-oh. Opponent does have a lot of options in their graveyard from our Gyruda for their Chainer. That was important to keep in mind here. Zerzoth. Whenever I draw my first card, each turn, if it's not my turn, they get a 1/1 Devil. And when the Devils attack, they make each player draw a card, discard a card at random. So they're just trying to get some Devil tokens here, I suppose. Alright. Oh, we discarded the Null Priest? That was so good on this board. To sack a creature? Sure, I'll sack the Thopter mechanic. Oh, they're gonna kill Sling Gang? Let's drain them for some life then. Get as much breathing room as we can. Twilight Prophet hits a 2-mana card. Let's go. Now let's just slap a Pact Weapon onto something so they have to find a way to kill the Flying Gyruda to kill me. 1, 2, 8, 9, 10 damage. If I hit a 3-mana or more card, I kill them on the spot. I hit one of my 4s. I have 3 4-mana cards in the deck out of 11. 3 out of 11 shot of them just dying immediately. 7, 8, 9, 10. This is needlessly bold, but it's hilarious, so I'm going to do it. We'll hit a 4-drop. Well, I guess we'll put them to 1. Not a 4-drop, but it is a thing, and they still have to kill Pact Weapon to kill me. They have to kill Pact Weapon and do 12 damage. Or kill the Pact Weaponed creature. Null Priest of Oblivion of their own. I do love that card. Not about to look 17 cards through their grave. We'll just see what they get. Raphael gives all their demons, devils, and imps lifelink, and this is a demon rogue with a Varagoth. They're just going to send in as much as they can here. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Sure. I'll just go to negative here. And just kill on the crackback. Lose the 2 life from Braids, because we can go super far into the negative. And that'll do it. Alright, that is when we're gonna get our revenge for Pact Weapon? No, that's not the right way to say it. That's where we're going to give Pact Weapon the justice it deserves. Suppose that's what I'm trying to say there. Because the one game we lost was a game where we could have had a lot more time if I just put a Pact Weapon on a thing and just hoped they didn't have removal. So, nice to get a win with the Pact Weapon in the end of that round. We are now 4-1 as we head into game number 6. Alright, here we are for game 6. Slow hand, but it's a fine one. We did draw into our Asylum Visitor, which helps a lot. Now I have a 2-drop that I'm pretty okay with playing. I'd be a little sad to play Null Priest on 2, but if I didn't have anything else to do, I think I would have done it there. Playing against a red-white deck, and they have a Black Blade Reforged, so that could be really, really threatening on pretty much any creature. They're going to play a Welcoming Vampire now. Our foul play would be beautiful this matchup. Don't have any removal though, so we'll just attack with Visitor. Hit for 3 and put Gyruda into the hand. Our opponent goes ahead and casts a Fire Prophecy on our Asylum Visitor. And it's going to send it in the grave, let them filter one of their draws away. Cycle a Yadaro Wandering Monster. If they cycle it 4 times, then they'll cast it for free, but also by the time they draw it a 4th time, they can just cast it. Ooh, I was just talking about how good Foul Play would be here. I want to just Foul Play the Vampire? Kinda do. We can just Foul Play the Vampire and draw a card. Could play a much longer game here and try to set up the Sling Gang Displacer Kitten combo before I cast any non-creatures, but I think that's just fine. And their hand must just be a bunch of interaction here. They're not going to have any counter spells for Gyruda, so we can at least get the Enter the Battlefield effect from it, so I think I'm still just setting up for that. I'll play a Sling Gang Lieutenant here as well, because if they have anything that kills a Sling Gang Lieutenant, we can just sacrifice it. Make sure it's at least in our graveyard for Null Priest to try to save it. They could just have all lands. We really don't know here. I'm just going to go for Gyruda and we'll find out soon enough. We milled no even creatures. They milled a Sarah Paragon. That's phenomenal. We've got one of those in our own deck. So we're definitely happy to see that. By invitation only, so it's just board wipe in the hand. Fair enough. I could have sacked in response. I forgot that I have to choose before they choose the number. That's irritating. Just the way that Magic works. I was going to be like, alright, we let them choose whatever their number is and then we sack our stuff. That's not how it works. By the time they choose the number, everything's already sacked. You can't respond to that. That's annoying. Should have drained them for 3 life there. Returns a mana value 3 or less. It returns Asylum Visitor. Probably just Null Priest instead. And re-establish a whole entire board state. Get the Sarah Paragon. I actually only have lands and an Asylum Visitor that I could replay with Sarah Paragon, so I'm actually happier to choose Twilight Prophet. Because we have the City's Blessing. Is the hand all board wipes? They're just going to wipe the board multiple times in a row? No, they're going to blow up Gyruda with a removal spell. Ooh, is this a removal spell that can kill both Null Priest and Prophet? It is, wow. Alright, well, we still have more cards than our opponent. We're still grinding out the game well. All our 2-for-1 value stuff. Drop a Whirler Rogue. Oh, that's kind of awkward. Yeah, I shouldn't have auto-tapped, because I kind of wanted to do Whirler Rogue Displacer Kitten, so that I could start playing these and flickering the Rogue. It's actually really awkward. Yeah, it auto-tapped the Addercar Waste for colorless, so I didn't have to shoot myself, is what it did there. But I had 2 blue right here for Rogue and 1 blue for Displacer there. Yeah, that was rough. I kind of auto-tapped myself out of a much better line. I think it's still better to pass the turn than it is to play one right now. But it would have been significantly better to play both that turn. Cloudsteel Kieran, so we're going to have to find a way to get rid of the Cloudsteel Kieran to win the game. Oh, never mind. I guess I'm on Displacer Kitten and then Glass Casket the Kieran. I'm definitely not attacking with the Whirler Rogue. I want to keep it around to be able to flicker it no matter what. That moment when you instantly find the removal you're looking for feels good. Alright, now just Displacer Kitten Whirler Rogue until the end of time is going to be our win condition. Black Blade Reforged is getting equipped to the Conspiracy Theorist so it can slam in for 1,000,000 damage. Fair enough. We've got a pretty free chump block because we're going to keep making more and more and more Opters. Tetsuko Umezawa. It's going to make the stuff pretty much unblockable. I don't have anything to flicker with against all odds because I'd want to flicker Whirler Rogue and then Displacer Kitten would overrule that flicker, I'm pretty sure. So there'd be 2 triggers on the stack trying to flicker the same card, and once the card is no longer on board, the other flicker won't resolve. I guess I do still want to return something from grave, so we'll find out for future reference how this works. But yeah, I'm pretty sure only one of these is going to resolve. Yeah. I might not have wanted to return Asylum Visitor from grave to board there, because now if they empty their hand, they do draw another card. But that's only in their upkeep, so they'll be dead by then. But 3 is a bigger number than 1, and with Tetsuko Umezawa on board... Well, 3 is a bigger number than 2, and with Tetsuko Umezawa on board, all of our 1 toughness creatures are unblockable. So we picked the 3 power unblockable creature over the 2 power unblockable creature. But I don't know. Either way, it's definitely going to be lethal. We are going to end the game there 5-1 as we move into round number 7. We are now in the money. We're getting all of our gold back out of the event and just leaving with some extra rares. So pretty sweet stuff from this deck heading into round number 7. Here we are on the draw for game 7. Pretty good hand, lots of 2-mana stuff to do. Can definitely get things rolling early. Play the Plunderer out. Cathar Commando is the first play from our opponent. Good main deckable artifact and enchantment removal. Blow up a Pact Weapon if we try to play that later. Not in love with the trade, but we're a pretty slow, grindy deck, so I think I'll go for it here so we can keep Pact Weapon around later. Response to go ahead and kill our creature, that's fine. Could play Tetsuko Umezawa to have a blocker for Cathar Commando again, or I could just put Gyruda in hand and be mana efficient. I think I'll put the Gyruda in hand. If I draw another 2-drop, I can play Umezawa plus that on turn 4. Down to 17, and they cast nothing. Alright, we hit a Displacer Kitten, which doesn't really do anything right now. So we'll just play Tetsuko Umezawa. I'm not going to play Null Priest because it's so good with Gyruda. And if they're not playing anything turn 4, we're not under much pressure. Oh, really, really dislike Elesh Norn in this cube. Because Elesh Norn is like a strong enough card to go into the regular arena cube. And yeah, you can do really fun doubling up ETB stuff, but Elesh Norn also just happens to completely shut off a lot of decks, and is just really powerful up front. Yeah, I can't do anything unless I find removal for that, and I don't think I have removal good enough to kill Elesh Norn. I can Faith's Fetters, but she'll stay on board. Vanishing Slash doesn't kill her because she's always untapped. My only way out is to draw Gust of Wind, bounce her to hand, and have the 4 mana to counter her. Yeah, that's such a bummer. Gyruda just does nothing now because they have Elesh Norn. Alright, big bummer energy. We'll drop a Pact Weapon so next turn I can just play any creature and put that on there and at least just sit here at -1,000,000. Yep, looks like we're going to be at -1,000,000 really quickly. There's the Mycosynth Gardens. Yeah, if I play Gyruda, I'm doing it for literal nothing. Do I have anything I can acquisition for? out of the sideboard that can kill Elesh Norn. There's a Perforos's Intervention, but I need the time to survive to Inquisition and then have all my mana up. Well, Acquisition, then have all my mana up. But I can cast Perforos's Intervention off of the Mycosynth Gardens, so that works. Okay. So need them to not kill whatever I put a Pact Weapon on. Exploit is an enter the battlefield effect, so I can't even hold up Amalgam as a counterspell. So it doesn't really matter. If I kick Null Priest, it doesn't do anything. If I play it regularly, it's not like I'm holding up the 4 mana for anything. I guess I just... None of my cards do anything. I can keep flickering things with Kitten, but then to what point? So we just play whatever's the beefiest and most likely to survive. I guess that's Garuda. But I need a way to turn the game around afterwards. I'm going to play the Null Priest. I'm just going to play the Lifelinker. Put Pact Weapon on a Lifelinker here. Drop the Amalgam, because it doesn't even do anything. But Displacer Kitten could be a way to flip the game around. Fingers crossed, 0 removal. And then we just play Acquisition, then we play Intervention. Witness Protection. Okay, that doesn't stop Pact Weapon. I'm pretty sure. I guess I'll find out. It does not stop Pact Weapon. Static Net. Okay, so it doesn't matter. They just Static Net the Pact Weapon. No matter what I do. Well, that was not a game of Magic in the slightest. Alright, here we are now for game number 8. We are 5-2. Very solid record. However things go from here. Really bad hand mana-wise. We do technically have 1 mana of any color, but it's going to soak up an additional mana, like 3 mana to play a 2 mana white card, 4 mana to play a 3 mana black card, so on and so forth. And we have a double white and a double black, which is real difficult, so I'm going to take the mulligan here. Okay, this is much better mana-wise. Probably get rid of the Trickster God's Heist and just roll with it here. All interaction. Get the Godless Shrine tapped turn 1 into the untapped Cave turn 2. And see how things go from there. Ravenous Squirrel, turn 1 from our opponent, we draw into a Mycosynth Gardens. Take 1 from the Ravenous Squirrel, and they're going to play a turn 2 Sanctum Weaver. They are curving out. Probably just banishing / the Mana Dork to slow them down a bit. Does feel like a solid line. Not the most mana efficient because we're not spending the 3 mana to put Gyruda in hand, but stopping them from ramping up and mana fixing feels pretty good. Altar of Ball, get a tapped 4/1 Menace Skeleton. Pretty aggressive, pretty spooky. One might even say it's a spooky, scary skeleton. Guess I can Fate's Fetters it. Feels like it would be ideal to save Faith's Fetters for something else, but I'm not going to have good blocks for this 4/1 anytime soon regardless, and I can't hold up Amalgam instead this turn because I don't have double blue until I have 5 mana. Although I do want to get this tap land out of the way, so I could just save Faith's Fetters and not hold up Amalgam instead, just putting Gyruda in hand. That seems fine. Okay, there's the second blue. And the Gyruda mana, the 6th land total. So next turn we I have 3 different options of what to do, all of which are pretty good. And then we'll just definitely be playing Gyruda the turn after that to try to stabilize, getting 2 large creatures on the board in 1 turn. Alright, they're going to play their Relic of Legends and play an Altar of Ball, which lets them exile a creature to return any creature from grave to battlefield. So now, that does play really well against my Faith's Fetters. I guess I could put the Fetters onto the altar to stop it from doing anything, but then I'm still taking all this damage. So I feel like I'm on Faith's Fetters, the skeleton, but then they can just exile the skeleton and get the Sanctum Weaver back, but it's okay. Or they can sack the skeleton and gain a life, draw a card. They're going to have great sack options against Faith's Fetters no matter what I do. And Twilight Prophet just doesn't do anything right now. A 2/4 flyer doesn't block the menace creature, and we're very far from Ascension. So, I think it is Faith's Fetters the skeleton, let them sacrifice it for value. Just get all this life gain, stop them from hitting us for 4. Give us the breathing room to play Gyruda to try to stabilize. Temple of Milady. Scry 1 to the top, so they liked what they saw. They'd be pretty happy to mill it, never mind. They're going to draw 4 off of Liliana's contract, and we now do not get to mill it. Alright, here's Gyruda. Let's get a wide board state. Well, we got a 1/3 and a 6/6. It's not a total miss, but it's not great. Gonti, Lord of Luxury. Find the best card in our top 4. Hopefully they suck. Hopefully it's all of our bad cards. They exist. Like Gust of Wind kind of stuff. Skyship Plunderer. Kind of just random stuff that doesn't really work for their deck. Journey to Eternity on Gonti, so when we kill it, it comes back, and then they can keep using the cave to reanimate other cards. Alright, that's pretty good. Since they're tapped out, we can go ahead and Displacer Kitten the Gyruda. Does seem pretty legitimate. Not going to foul play Gonti, obviously. But I do want to foul play so that I can flicker Gyruda. So we will be killing the Ravenous Squirrel. They hit nothing again. Wow, we are really making sure they don't flood out. Whirler Rogue is what we hit. I think we do want Whirler Rogue here. Poke in with Tetsuko Umezawa. And pass the turn. Now we've got a super gigantic board state, so Twilight Prophet is definitely at the City's Blessing. If I want to play that. Gonti's coming in hot. You know what, Gonti? You got it. I don't even want to sack a 1/1. The Journey doesn't work if they exile the Gonti to the Altar of Ball, so they have to find another sacrifice outlet. But they probably have plenty. Yeah, Deadly Dispute certainly works. They get another Gonti trigger now. Now an Eat to Extinction to exile Gyruda. And a foul play on Displacer Kitten. And Jaren Corrupted Bishop as another play. Get a 2-3 and a 1-1. If they're at exactly 13 life, they can flip that thing. At the beginning of their end step, they can make the human a lifelinker. Any of their humans, they can make a lifelink. So if I hit them for 3, they go to 11, then they make Jaren a lifelinker to put them to 13. Then 6 to flip it. I guess Amalgam could counter that ability, but I don't have the mana to play Amalgam and Twilight Prophet, which is kind of a bummer. I guess I'll just hold up Amalgam. Feels the safest, but our opponent has like a ton of value engines going on between Alter and Adsal, so I'm not sure how well we're going to grind this one out. Definitely feels against us here. But maybe a well-timed Amalgam can help us get a lead. Mask of Grizzlebrand, that's kind of horrific. Flying and lifelink, that's going to be impossible to outrace, and it's going to be another way for them to guarantee they go to 13. Kind of feel like I have to counter that, but then I am having a really bad time because they could still end up going to 13 to flip this Ormondal, and then that could also beat me. Yeah. Counter the Mask of Grizzlebrand. Oh, they got our Sarah Paragon. That's definitely not a dud. And they can even just cast the mask I just countered. I guess they don't have the mana up for it yet, but they can play all their lands from grave, their Squirrel, their Sanctum Weaver, the mask we just countered. Turns out the Gonti hits were good, and that's a problem. Primal Command, shuffle their grave into their library? They want to not mill out that badly? I could have saved that for way later. Alright, I guess we might still be kind of in it. They just gave up on all their graveyard value. They were like, nah, well, a little too scared of milling. Oh, Mastermind's Acquisition. Pick up a Leer. Could definitely be a thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 mana. I can play Prophet and Acquisition here. Guess I play the Acquisition first. I can't play both. I only have 3 black sources somehow. Alright, well, I'll just play Prophet then. Send in the squad. Concerned to see what they're gonna draw into here. Or what they did draw into here. But I guess we'll find out. Maybe it's a board wipe or something? I just want to get some damage in first. Oh yeah, Sarah Paragon can just recast their cards. But only one time. Once Jaren dies again, it'll get exiled. According to Sarah Paragon's text, but I've heard that it's actually worded incorrectly to where it won't get exiled. But I don't know. Deadly Dispute, sacking Gaunty to draw 2 and get a treasure. And hit a Mightstone and Weakstone to kill our Twilight Prophets. Yep. And I use the Altar of Ball to get the Gaunty again. I don't have the mana to Acquisition and play Lear this turn, so we're probably on Acquisition plus Visitor. Is there anything in my deck I could really use Acquisitioning? Not really. Null Priest would be fine, but I think Garuda's exiled, yeah. Of course. We can Null Priest the Twilight Prophet. No, I think I'm picking up a Lear and playing an Asylum Visitor. Definitely grabbing something from the sideboard. Yep, Lear it is. Oh shoot, this is just gonna give them card draw. Probably just shouldn't have played Asylum Visitor there. Because their hand is technically empty, but of course Arena shows their exiled cards right where they show their hand. But that's what the special color is about. Those are my cards, not cards that are technically actually in their hand. Oops. Momentary blink from our deck for their Gaunty now. Gauntied us like 6 times. Probably. Realistically speaking, I think this is the 4th Gaunty trigger, technically. Oh, I draw the card. No matter what. Oh, never mind. I'm a doofus. I have 10 damage on the crackback if they miscounted, and they have nothing left. They have Adsol though. That's instant speed. They have no creatures in grave though, because they shuffled their whole grave back in. Now it has to be last card in their hand has to save them. So they're gonna crack a clue? Does the clue token card save them? Sure does. Must be nice. Give your opponent lethal on board and then top decking out. Oh, they had Null Priest from our deck too. Okay. There's a Pact Weapon. That keeps us in the game, but now I'm not playing Leer anymore. We're playing Pact Weapon. If I draw the right card, they could still die here. They probably don't, but they could. Erebos gives -2/-1. So I guess I have to put Pact Weapon on my 3/3, so they have to at least sack 3 things to kill it. But then they can just do that next turn. Just sack 3 things to kill the Amalgam to beat me. So I just have to get a really lucky Pact Weapon trigger. Because I can Glass Casket the Null Priest. They can respond by sacking the Null Priest to Erebos to kill Asylum Visitor. But then I can attack with everybody. They can block my 2/2 Whirler Rogue, take 2 damage from my 1/1s, and then take however much from Amalgam. I only have 4 drops in my deck, though. I don't have a 5-mana card, so I can't just kill them on the spot. Pact Weapon, Amalgam could hit for 7 in this guy. So we could do 9 damage if they respond to me Glass Casketing Null Priest by sacking it to kill Visitor. So we cannot lethal them here. Unless, what if I attack with everybody? No, because they'll still have the 4-mana up. I was like, what if I hold up Momentary Blink? No, because then they'll still have the 4-mana up. Or the 2-mana up to sack a creature and kill one of my things. Then it would have to sack the Null Priest, but if I Glass Casket, they will sack that. Yeah, we don't have lethal if they respond correctly by killing the Asylum Visitor. Which they definitely will. I guess even if they let Null Priest get exiled, if they just sacrifice something else to kill Asylum Visitor, we won't have lethal. Even if we hit the 4-drop. If they choose Amalgam, we might still have lethal. Especially if they pay 2 life. Okay. So now they block Visitor, take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, plus 4. No, it's the exact same. We hit them for 9 damage if we hit a 4-drop, and then they kill Amalgam next turn. And we hit a 0. Oh, they do have the mana to sack another card? Okay. Oh yeah, because the Relic of Legends can tap an untapped legend you control. Oh, I mean, we know what they're gonna do now. Oh, they could steal our Pact Weapon. That also kills us. Alright, so we are 5-3, getting 4,000 gold and 3 extra cards back out of the event. Here is a final look at the deck again. Really fun one today. It did better than I thought it would, because it looks really stupid. It's not the greatest, not the most synergistic deck ever, but being able to flicker some stuff with Displacer Kitten was always some wild nonsense. We've got a decent amount of interaction by this cube's standards. So we were able to stay in there and find some victories in the end, which is pretty nice. Don't have too much really high-level commentary about this format. Not a very big fan of it. I'm not super into gigantic, long, dirtily games where we just kind of stare at each other. And that's a lot of what Tinkerer's Cube is. It's really designed in that fashion. I like having cheap interaction and being able to try to stop my opponent's game plan consistently, or at least interact with what they're doing, and that does not feel like how this cube is designed in the slightest. All the interaction is pretty inefficient generally, and there's not a lot of it. So haven't loved this cube, if I'm being entirely honest. So kind of glad that that is the end of it for me, but we still got to play some cool decks, the green-black sack deck and the Gyruda Flicker deck. But that's going to end today's draft, and that is going to end the Tinkerer's Cube drafts for me this time around. Tomorrow we'll be playing the Momir's Madness event, and then Thursday, thanks to Wizards of the Coast, we will be playing in the March of the Machines Early Access event. And from that point on, we'll swap over to the daily drafts of a March of the Machine. So there's some great stuff on the horizon. I'm always excited for that, but that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons very much for supporting this channel, and thank you for watching. If you're interested in seeing some more videos like this, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in your recommended feeds. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. Outside of that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.